if you took this one on the back page,
Yeah.
and you drew a line down the middle with the idea that half of it would be a meeting room, training center.
And that's pretty much, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, exactly. I mean, either the 24 or the 36, you're pretty much cutting that building in half for the training center.
Right, which is good size, you're talking 36 by 36.
Yeah, roughly.
So we would still have the room on the other side then for extension and 4-H, weed, and then you still got your lab and your bathroom, all at very good sizes, 12 by 12s. You've still got leftover space that we can grow into as we need to.
So within that, or are you considering also like a reception area where people come in
Absolutely,
together?
yeah.
Because if you look at extension, I don't know if you're considering all the extra space that I have to have for storage. You know, the equipment and things that I have in there, I mean, the lab to take care of part of it. I still have storage of other supplies.
Yeah, and like I said, there's still leftover space, so I just, this is just off the top of my head with the verbals that I've gotten from you guys, but a 24 by 24 space for you, plus a 12 by 12 reception area. I mean, that is more space than you have now, and more space than you did downstairs. So that would address some of that. And then again, 12 by 12 for both the bathroom with the shower facility that we need so badly. The lab, we've talked about that being bigger than we've ever had. That gives us room to grow. A 12 by 12 office for Scott, and nobody else has really expressed an office need. And Julie is fine here in the courthouse, but she does need a shower facility. Well, we could put one in the courthouse, but I think that's a waste of money as well. But if, all I'm saying is, this isn't anything set in stone, but it is for conversation. Is a 36 by 36 meeting and training facility big enough? Is a 36 by 36 big enough if it is wisely designed for your needs and Scott's needs, and then also go after the bathroom? So, yeah, I think.
So yeah, I think,
thoughts.
and Wynn was exactly right. I haven't gotten around to talk to everybody, so I don't know exactly how much space everybody needs. That's something that needs to be flushed out. And I can come back with a more exact, here's what we need.
Right.
And it's apparent that you don't have anything right now that would accommodate what the needs are. And that's just very apparent looking from the outside in. There's just not enough space.
Yeah.
Could you share the training space?
I would anticipate that that would be a multi-function training space. And, you know, you basically, it doesn't make any sense to build two training facilities. Make
No.
one nice big training facility and everybody schedules it and works around each other's schedules, work together to utilize it.
And that's, you know, the numbers he was talking about was the one I was, you know, helped Virginia out with. It's actually, she's the one that puts on the applicator trainings and things like that. I just assist and, you know, but I think that, was I right on the numbers? There was about 25 or
25, but there's, yeah.
30
there's
people by the time you
30
get,
plus.
yeah, by the time you get your guest speakers and people to come in, you know. And that one was plenty tight that day. And I mean,
And where
you
was
could
that?
over here. Yeah, I mean, you could see people getting pretty restless after about an hour of that, you know, because they're sitting there like this, you know,
And that's what you don't, you do not want people crammed in like sardines, there's no question. It doesn't work very well.
Right. And the thing is there's nothing to say that we're locked in any of these sizes. If the needs equate to, we need to look at one size bigger, we can certainly do that, but you have to have a starting point here.
I think, Madam Chairman, I'm going to just throw this out. That if these guys, each one came in with a drawing of what they need, and then we can work around it and see, wiggle it around.
And a lot of them have already done that, if they could take those to Sean or, you know.
Basically, what I need from everybody is how many office spaces are necessary, what, you know, do you need lab space, do you need storage space, you know, how many people are you willing, do you need to train, how big a space do you think you need for that? Those are the kind of things that I need from all the departments. Then I can take all that information and put it into one plan, or maybe it's 2 buildings, you know, I don't know how that'll work out. Maybe it makes sense to buy 2 older buildings and remodel them at that point, because then you've got 2 particular spaces, but you can put them in the same location. That's all interchangeable as far as I'm concerned. I just need to have all that information so we can make a plan.
And if after getting all that information, the answer you get is, you know what, Broadwater County doesn't need anything, or we can just put a shower in the search and rescue building and insulate that, or add a shower into the courthouse, and a lean-to. Those are the things we need to know. Are those the best moves right now, or is this other move a better move?
There are some
We have
concerns
guesses.
I have right now with the search and rescue building. Most of those are drainage concerns. That building sits real low, and it's apparent they're getting water in there. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to finish it real close on the inside if we're gonna continue to have that. It's gonna be difficult because it is set where it is. So if we could continue to use that as storage, which it's really set up for that right now, you've got pass-through doors, except for that little center building, but I think you could probably blow out that middle piece and you just have nice 3 bays all the way through for storage. Would work really well, which is still a need. It looks like that building's almost full, so.
I guess that's kind of where, now I can understand, I can understand this conversation piece in a lot of ways, and that's having some of my top guys from Search and Rescue here. I hope they understand where I'm going with this. Is the fact is we do need to train, and because there's no bathroom facility in it, okay? And my gripe has been for the last several months is when it's 40 below and we have a meeting, our meetings, we have a group of people, we have nowhere really to meet.
Yeah.
And if you do, no one wants to load up the trucks with all the equipment to come in here to go over ropes and knots and pulleys and ice sleds or anything else. I think if we came in here every first time every month and moved all the valve stuff out of our courtroom to practice on an ice sled, somebody might get a little upset with us, especially if it broke something, namely Mike. And so there's that need there. However, and I can understand if we built a training facility in a meeting room, I have no problem with that. That's great, that's good forward thinking, but in some retrospect, you're right, we're full. We need more equipment, we need four-wheelers and some more sleds, and I think Chair Olbert brought that up. The problem is we still lack the storage, and so in some way we have to meet those needs, and the biggest part of that, and part of my argument here lately is the fact is these are volunteers that are coming out here to do public safety measures, and that's a huge thing for me. So it's as long as we can find some happy medium. To me, if I have the place to train and to meet, that's great. I have no issue with that. I would like to see it before it's 40 below again, and because our building, there's going to have some work done to it though, obviously, because the fact is even turning the thermostats down to off, Raj, there you are. Put your hat back on, I can recognize it. But our power bill went up $400 a month. It's not insulated very well. It is a shell. It was a Band-Aid over a bullet wound is what it comes down to. And so, and try to reduce those costs, something would have to be done. Because we can't have frozen equipment, we can't have stuff, or it doesn't function. So those are needs as well, and if we could come together as a plan and say, okay, on this day we're going to have this type of solution, if there's light at the end of the tunnel, I'm more than happy to understand and entertain that. If there are goals that are 18, 2 months, 3 years out, or 2 years and 3 years out, that doesn't eliminate my need. I still have needs and issues that need to be addressed. So, I'm open to a lot of things, and I think that this is a starting point to get where we need to be. I think you have to take that first step to say, these are the problems you have, and then try to find some goals and objectives to resolve those at the same time. So I'm open to suggestion, as long as, we address address the needs in a timely fashion, I guess would be my statement there, so.
Well, and this was a good place to start,
Yes.
getting everybody together and have them say, this is what I need. and how much room I need.
Sean, can you speak to the time frame issue?
As far as,
I think he's right on, and
I mean, if you guys are very serious about this, I can put this package together, get everybody's input, and you can have something by winter. I don't think that's really an issue, especially with the modular idea.
would that help you guys win? I know you guys have a serious issue as far as.
I mean,
the
timing
flow.
is, and the other thing is, we can look at, I'd like to get inside that search and rescue building and actually look at it
Oh.
instead of just peeking through the windows.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's some things we could do inside there, like, you know, spray that with foam core and, you know, get some insulation in there
Well,
too,
we.
which is not
They did
hugely
that.
expensive.
When would you do that? 2 years ago?
2013.
2013, the guys went and had it insulated sheetrock, or not sheetrock, but sheeted. They put sheetrock on the roof and then they sheeted the sides, but it was insulated and all that. But then the heating was put in, and I don't necessarily agree with the heating units that were suggested to us. I think they were, what's
They're
the
not working.
correct answer for that, Chris?
They're just not working.
They're
They're
not
too
working
small and they're not.
Need to take another look at that.
Yeah.
Probably outdated.
Well, I think they were new units, weren't they, Roger?
Yeah.
They were new units, I think they were designed for a much smaller area, and I don't think they really met the needs, I think they were, suggested as an easy fix. That whole building has been, like I said, a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. Instead of tearing down the old structure, they built around it. You know, and then they try to level a floor out with an existing structure that's been there for 40, 50 years, and then try to make something happen with it. And then unfortunately, when it was built, it wasn't built in the right idea. It was again a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. So when I first took over as search and rescue guy, it had a gravel floor, and the whole building sat on footings. No insulation, no sheeting, no nothing. I mean, it literally. They said, we'll just increase the space and do it this way. Well, great. As soon as it rained, all the water came in, flooded the floors, and then your trucks are sitting in mud. So we got concrete put in after the fact. Well, great, but now we still have water that comes underneath the doors and freezes our doors shut. You know, we get that, I think in February, was it this year, Raj? In February, when we had the warm weather, all the snow melted on the side and then froze our door shut.
Right,
Yeah, that causes a problem. You know, and it just, it's not, it wasn't designed with any forethought. And so that's our biggest issue, and trying to recruit and retain good search and rescue folks like we have right now. You know, you gotta be able to function, and you gotta be able to move around, and we're meeting in a small area, and the average temperature during our meetings during the winter is a illustrious 50 degrees. After running the heaters Raj will stop in and turn the heaters on during the day, and then hopefully by the time the meeting goes around at 7 o'clock, it's that really warm 50 degrees in there, and then our outhouse freezes, and because we have a porta potty out back, and it freezes, and then the kids around the neighborhood are nice to tip the thing over, and that's all.
Even the wind helps with that too.
What's that?
The wind blows it over sometimes.
But, so those are just, and I don't wanna isolate this as me sitting here griping about just my needs. I mean, the county's all got needs, and we've all had discussions about that. And I don't wanna do something hasty in regards to fixing the situation. If there's a long-term goal, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I'm more apt to understand and work with that. But I don't want to be put back on the back burner and having conversations and go, okay, we had a conversation about it, now it's good. Let's go, and you know, all in or all out, is kind of my idea. So, you know, I think if we can get a plan and get something projected where it's gonna benefit everybody, I'm more apt to deal with that. Does it resolve my search and rescue building issues? No. Does anybody have $6 million to build me a new search and rescue building? No. Would I love it? Yes, I would. I would love to have a facility like Lewis and Clark County that they're building, or even Park County's new one, somewhere where I had the ability to move trucks straight in and straight out, and had lots of room for training in people's lockers and storage for people's personal gear that are on our team. But I think that's probably a very long-term goal, and I understand short-term, I guess, issues can be resolved easier than long-term. So, I just kind of like to get somewhere in a direction so that, you know, when I have my meeting on Wednesday night, you know, people are gonna ask me, it's one of the top questions I get asked every month. Where's our bathroom, where's the status on it, what's going on? And that's just one of those things that I need to be able to give them answers. And that's just being a good leader, is answering these questions. So, that's where I'm at with it. Like I said, I'm open to suggestion, as long as there's a time frame that's not so far out of whack that doesn't, that we're getting too far out, that we can't ignore it anymore. So,
Fair enough.
Can we-
Virginia.
When,
Hey, hang on just a second, Virginia.
I have a question about, I guess, kind of talking about this and back to, you mentioned location. And so just to make sure, are we talking about like this modular being within the current road yard, or are we talking about over where the gravel piles are?
Within the current road yard, right at the north side of it,
Or
or over.
right behind the old Perry building was another option. Or, there were three, weren't there, Sean?
I guess I just looking at accessibility, you know, for, I'm thinking of the public coming in, if you're talking about extension going down. I gotta look at accessibility and what's inviting to the public to come to your office. And how easy is it gonna be for them to find if they're new to the area?
I'm kind of with Virginia as far as in the road yard. We've got graders driving through there, we've
It'd
got
be-
big equipment.
And what I would propose there is we would actually fence that road yard back. So we would just take the north part of that, fence it back a ways, and that would be its own facility, signed, everything.
Does that make it real tight for them, coming in with graders and?
No, actually, like I say, I was out there with Dana today, we were looking at that. I think there's room, he thinks there's room, and it does segregate the road department from everybody else, but I think that's also safer. You don't have multiple people coming in the same yard with heavy equipment, which is never a good idea. So basically, his road yard, I mean, this is not great, but this is the road going to the canister site, and his, you know, his building sits about in here, and then you would basically take this back piece right here and just cut it off. And so you would have your building and potential storage and everything right, building would be right here along the road. And that's why it's attractive, is because it's visible.
Would you show
And
that
then-
to Brian too?
And then
so we
solid
can see
waste
it?
could actually utilize it too, if it's right here.
The only concern I have about that, this is the canister site.
Right,
Is the residence that's right over there.
right.
He is, I won't say he's difficult to deal with, but he's problematic. He's not gonna like a bunch of other vehicles coming in and out of there.
Well, they don't have to. I mean, we don't have to utilize the road. I mean, we can cut this off here and have access here.
So before you start setting equipment there, he needs to be brought into the office.
Yeah. And we need to see what his easement entails, and, yeah, I agree.
well, he'll tell you.
Sean's gonna be looking at a lot of different areas. He gave us 4 different ideas. So this would not be my favorite unless, you know, you come in and educate me that these are the best, this is the best idea because of these reasons.
Yeah,
But my thinking is right now, we need to actually move it more towards the Perry building.
yeah,
And the reason is the safety of the kids. If there is that field that goes there, there would be oversight with the county building there. It just helps to have a presence for the kids.
sure.
Um,
And that could be
and then
moved
more
over
room
there,
for
I'm
expansion.
just looking at cost right now.
Sure.
Because if you go over here, then you're gonna end up improving access.
Right, because
over to
even
it.
spruce is dirt, or
Right,
cedar.
right.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
Well, the other thing though is like, if you go on that north end of the county yard, as we talked about it, if we have 25 or 30 people come in, will we have adequate parking for them?
Should, yes.
How
And
are
I
you
think-
gonna, I don't get, I still don't get how you figure adequate parking. If you're gonna fence a building off, where are you gonna park them across the street?
Well,
Or are you gonna,
what you'd have to
we're still
do-
either that or we're gonna have to open up the the road yard from what I'm getting, so that they come in and around the equipment
So
department.
if you fence this off, essentially just like this,
Okay.
and then you have an access in here like this, say your building sits here like that, you can have parking on both sides like that. And even more parking out here too, unless you put, you know, bigger storage or whatever. I haven't looked at all the space constraints yet, that's just one. The other sites are, you know, clear up here, and then right over here. And maybe this one flushes out to be the best alternative, like Laura's talking about.
But regardless of which one flushes out to be the best alternative, we'll have the facts as to
Yeah.
why,
Well,
which
I
I
need-
think is what we need more than
Yeah,
anything
and I need
else.
space. I mean, I need to figure out the space
Yeah.
first, and then I can say, okay, we need this big a building. And then based on this use, I need this many parking spaces. Then we can start playing with, all right, do I put it here, do I put it here, do I put it here?
Because the parking issue is very apparent if you just walk
Oh,
out
yeah.
this door right
I've
there.
been back out this alley several times.
Just throw that in there. I mean, the parking is a very huge.
I think in fact, one time I had to turn around and go back, so yeah, couldn't get through.
It's a one-way, Sean.
I know, well, I know, but you couldn't
You
get
back
through. So you were like, okay, what do I do?
And then as far as equipment
You didn't.
storage,
No.
what are we looking at then, as another building or?
Then kind of prove-
So, again, chemical storage, especially with the pesticides, we need to get that in a different location from your office building. You don't want to expose your employees or the public to that. So that's a separate issue that we'll deal with, is the equipment storage and pesticides or chemicals. So you really have two separate issues, I think.
But depending on your department, the needs are parallel.
Absolutely.
It's not, you know, it's not an issue where some of the needs are first, it is a parallel thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of where, I guess, like with me too, is part of this, when we're thinking about this, part of the reason that I have to meet, like Virginia, to upgrade our facilities for a pesticide storage, is part of the problem that we're having now, is we don't wanna be spread out. So we, you know, you don't wanna be too far spread out, because right now, I've gotta go plumb down there to meet somebody and make special arrangements to get the herbicides in, or make special arrangements. So we don't wanna come into another setup like that. We wanna be able to, you know, if we're gonna be there, let's kill two birds with one stone and work at the office and, you know, maybe take 2 steps and go get our.
An adjacent
You
facility,
know, an
absolutely.
adjacent, you know, so that's kinda where I would kinda wonder about that, you know, set up in the road yard, in the current road yard too, and.
Yeah, and the storage would be right here. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you need to have it adjacent. What's nice about this is you could build a bigger storage and cut it off, and road department could back their stuff in and go this way, and you guys could, you know, potentially use this side, or maybe we can work it so we can come out there, so. It makes it difficult if we can't use this access, but.
Chris said it.
Well, all I'm getting at is that regardless of, just for the search and rescue building, and as a whole being a county building, that regardless of what you wanna do with it, if you're gonna knock the holes out and make it so you can drive through and for equipment storage and all that, if you don't fix the drainage as soon as possible, you're not gonna have a building for much longer. You know, it's rolling in and damaging all the wood on the bottom, it's gonna start to rot out from the bottom down, and then if we wait another year, you know, when we actually do have a rescue to do and we can't get out of the building, that's gonna be a problem when we break the doors trying to get it out. Then we gotta
Agreed.
fix those.
Agreed. There's definitely an issue down there.
You know, and like you said, I mean, putting a bunch of money into, we really need a bathroom, but we don't want it destroyed by the water.
Right.
So some way or another, if the building stays standing, unless you're gonna tear it down and build something new right there in that spot, and, cause we have a big lot there and everything, but if you don't drain it, there's not gonna be much left for too many more years, you know.
And I think that's a
Why
good
that
point. I
drainage
think-
should be looked at, can be graded out, and also, the storm drain, if it's in that area.
Well, remember, the city doesn't have storm drains per se. So
Well,
that's,
they do.
they do, but they really don't, yeah.
And that's what's using it for LC.
Yeah.
That'd be one good way to get rid of the water, but also it still needs some grading. I don't know, you know, without looking it over closer and
It's
and
below
shooting it
grade.
there.
That's the problem.
It
Well,
sits,
yeah, I know
it
that's
sits
what
in a hole, and I'm not saying there isn't anything you can do, but it'll be tricky, I think, to figure that out.
French drain it.
Yeah, there'd have to be some sort of French draining in front, all around the building,
Good luck.
and that would have to run, yeah. I mean,
That doesn't help you in the
French-
winter, the
French
winter
drains plug, yeah, it doesn't help in the winter, cause it
We've gotta
freezes
get
over the
that
top.
surface to drain away from that building.
Right,
That's the bottom line, because in the winter time in Montana, that's where you get hung up.
yeah, but as long as
That's
it
why I
is a
have to look
county
and see if we
building,
can get some drainage from it right away.
Yeah,
and that's just, I mean, it'll destroy the building before long, if something, as long as it's a county building, I'd hate to see it wasted sitting there.
agree.
Unless it was gonna be torn down and started over, you know, then you haul everything in and you can build on top of that, but.
And I don't think that's an option.
Right.
Many people, that anyone is looking at it.
Yeah, well, and for
But
everything that we need
there are
for the whole
issues that have to be
county,
addressed, yeah,
cause that, you know,
yeah. This is kind of a separate issue that is immediate, is
right,
fixing
so
that
just, and that's all I
situation.
mean, if you're gonna protect the one building, rather than putting everything off there, something's gonna need to be done sooner than later, and this summer it'd be pretty handy before snow starts flying, and then, cause we will lose it over time.
Mhm.
Has anybody thought of maybe going to the fairgrounds? You know, where the commercial building sits, go west of that, closer to the road?
I haven't looked at that one.
I mean, that gives you lots of room for stretching out.
Do we have water and sewer up there?
No.
We don't yet.
We have water,
We have water, but not sewer.
Septic tank.
Have to
yeah,
be
and
a
a septic tank.
There
One
we
of
have
the
lots-
things with
lots of
that
water
is it would
problems
be
up there.
tough for search and rescue to get to a bathroom or shower if they were working in their shop, on equipment or just came back from a rescue. It would be tough to
Well, and I
make
was
that
just thinking,
stop, whereas this other
Lots of-
option, they can walk half a block the most.
Yeah.
But it's worth looking
I
into.
can look at it.
Yeah,
Let's say alternate location.
I wouldn't mind meeting with you and looking at drainage situation over here. You know, cause there's something that gotta be done. I didn't realize the water was coming in. I thought,
Yeah.
you did say something about the doors reason, but I didn't know.
No,
what
yeah, it
was.
comes in, and one of the downfalls of that is that slab being a secondary thought process in there, there's a crack between the slab and the wall. And so, and I think you'd probably see it everywhere, actually, now that I think about it, but with that water running in there, it's going down in that crack. If it freezes,
It's gonna
It's
heat.
gonna heave it.
it's gonna heat it.
It's gonna heat.
And we're gonna have
We're
issues.
gonna have issues.
And that's, you know, there's, not sure what the thought process was. I was one part of it, so I can't take any credit for that destruction. But I'm not sure why they did what they did when they did it. I mean, I understand they had a need for more space, but a lack of pre-planning on their part definitely did not help that situation, so.
You gonna be around this afternoon?
Okay, yeah.
And maybe, and I'd like to see what it is, so we can get that part right away.
And Raj knows exactly where all the water comes in at, because he's the one that calls and tells me about it, so. He might be a good tool, unless you got fishing plans.
Nope, I'll be around all day.
Yeah, it wouldn't take, but, yeah, 10, 15 minutes to go look at it,
We'll
so.
be out of here,
we'll be out by 2 easy.
yeah, easy too, cause
well, actually,
that one's been canceled.
Franklin, you guys could go right now in the next 5 minutes when we're done, if you wanted, and that way you don't have to hang out for
That
the
would,
afternoon,
that
Scott.
would probably
or
be easier for
Jonathan.
me, if you could.
Okay,
We'll be quick.
let's go there
That's
now.
boogie, huh?
So, is there anything else on this subject that you guys wanna talk to Sean about while we've got him as a captive audience? And Brian, I should mention before I let you speak, Brian does not and has not said that solid waste would pay for help with the office portion, but perhaps some of the storage portion. Go ahead, Brian.
As the solid waste department representative, I would just like to say that the solid waste board spent a lot of time and money looking at options for the county to use over the last year. And we had a proposal in front of the commission, and it was not addressed. That would have given us a building that would have cost $40 a square foot. That would have been adequate for all the space needs that we're talking and it would have given us an extra 20,000 square feet of land to do whatever else we wanted to do. So, we've sent this up the flagpole. We've had these discussions, and I don't really like sitting through them again, so that's the solid waste department's stand.
Thank you for that, I understand what you're saying, it's been frustrating for everyone, and unfortunately, it is what it is. So, thank you, Bill, for coming back. And Sean does have those studies that you guys did, so. And he's right, we did spend a lot of time on this, we just couldn't get it off the dime because the commission just was not on the same page. Perhaps with what you can lead us with, we can get on that same page and then work as a county unit for the good of the county on this. Because it needs to happen.
I think Chris had something that he wanted to say.
Just consider, you know, I mean, well, if this is gonna take several years, like Wayne said, that, a bathroom's gonna be pretty important for us if we're gonna stay in that building. And I don't wanna see the county commissioners dump a bunch of money into a building that's not gonna be worth anything someday and whatnot. But if we have to stay in there a lot longer, that porta potty's really getting to be interesting.
That's not.
You deserve better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got it.
We understand.
I thought
Even
this
if we
bathroom
couldn't
would be
get the
done by
shower,
now,
at least
but
if we could get a bathroom.
hasn't been, so.
Will, Sean kind of addressed that for Wynn and said that if we can actually work together as a commission, we could get this done by winter.
Right,
If we can all work together towards that goal, then you guys don't have that worry.
right.
And you can have a nice meeting facility where you can showcase search and rescue and the things that we do and have it heated.
Yeah, and we'd love to have a big open house when some stuff is cleaned up and.
Yeah, and it'd be a great recruiting tool.
We could do
So-
that for all of us, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the goal at this point. I think we're all in agreement, we do not want to see this just languish for another couple of years, because really it's ridiculous that we haven't been able to get it done before now.
Yeah,
And
and
I
I agree
think
with Lynn, you know,
Brian's clear.
the big picture is real important and everything, but we do have to fix a couple of things and it's gonna take a while to get there.
Hopefully it won't.
If we find a place and can do something for search and rescue, what does that leave in their building?
Well, nothing.
They're
We're-
already full of storage in there and already gonna be busting at the seams. So I would think storage would stay as long as we can fix the drainage issues and the snowed-in door, or the frozen door issues.
I think we can fix the drainage issues.
Yeah,
I do
if we
too, I
can
think
maintain
you
the
guys have some
building
good brains amongst you.
and give us somewhere new to meet, that would be, you know, amazing.
Yeah.
I know it's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far.
Right.
I think the, kind of the meeting facility and the bathroom slash shower facility or whatever is the one common interest that we all need, you know, that's our biggest concerns is, you know,
I think
that,
it's a
or right now,
priority.
that's it.
Well, and I think, you know, last week we were in here for wildland fire and the issues that people are portraying that we could have. And I think that's something, as Chris and I were talking, and I think Scott was as well, is, you know, you put in a facility where you have a training room, you can also use that, if it's set up properly, you can use that as an emergency operations center. And that doesn't just necessarily apply to wildland fire issues, it also deals with the other hazards we have here in the county. Flooding is obviously one of them. And the same note is we have a pipeline that runs through here, and we have a big propane tank that sits right next to the railroad tracks. And now we have an extra siding in here, so we're gonna have more train traffic. Not saying anything can happen in those situations, but you need to have an off-site area where people, all your stakeholders can come and meet, and you can get every information that you need up and appropriately placed somewhere, so people can get informed and make those decisions. And as commissioners, you have just as much as that, sitting at that table as myself, or even EMS, or what have you, even when Scott could probably be involved in the situation as well. But you need to have a place where everybody can get together and say, this is what we're gonna do, and this is why. And I think that's a huge key, and especially as Montana continues to grow, and everybody seems to move here, bringing their problems with them, and they become our problems as well. So I think that's a huge benefit, and I think that's again why I would recommend a bigger training area versus a smaller one, is make sure when when those issues happen. It's not if, it's when. We keep getting reminded on about a 3-year basis that Mother Nature does play a wonderful toll on us and flood us out. So, great place to do that. We had the meetings downstairs in the old commissioner's room. They got a little tight during the flood time, and very hard to get that information up that everybody can see it appropriately. So, you know, with that being said, it's not just for training. It goes into all those things, so.
And I think that's great you bring that up, Wayne, because you're right, like in EOC, we're looking at trying to upgrade the 4-H building to meet that, to where you can go in and start hooking computers up and stuff. That's gonna take some doings up there too. So since we spending money up there, if we can have an all-encompassing meeting like you talked about, the jacks on the floor, so you can set stuff up, you can set cubicles up, whatever you need, it would serve a big purpose.
If you're gonna do it, you might as well do it for every need you have, because at that point, your cost per square foot is minimal.
And Wynn hit a good point. When we had the flooding, we had, I don't know how many people, but far above fire code downstairs. That would be where we would have met, and everybody would have had the ability to be there.
Right.
And I think, you know, and we're getting tasked, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this weekend. Raj and John, I bet, was there. You know, they're out taking 2 girls off a cliff. You know, we're getting things that we normally don't get. People are getting themselves in a bind. We become, I call Broward County Recreation Station for the state of Montana. Fishing, hunting, hiking, rock climbing. If you want to go across the boundaries and go in places you're not supposed to on a snowmobile, you will find yourself in avalanche country. And those are the things that we're dealing with, it seems like, on a pretty regular basis anymore. And not considering the fact of the drownings, lightning strikes, or whatever else that go on out there. So I think we're getting busier in that aspect. I don't foresee any change in that. We've got some guys that are pretty well trained. We got some rope guys. We have a diver now on our team, and I want to keep those guys and keep them involved in the whole process. And right now, I think we've got a pretty good crew, the best crew we've had since I've been here. So I don't want their needs to go unheard. So.
Yeah, and I don't think we need another Band-Aid on a bullet wound. I think we need a good plan that's implemented before you guys have to deal with this again for winter.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it right.
So, do you guys, is there a projection that you want to come back and, I think if we don't have a date to come back and revisit, then we're just, might as well be talking to this table right here.
Let's set that date in 2 weeks. That'll give me time to get to every one of you guys individually and get through all the pieces and get everything set. Does that make sense?
So 2 weeks would be the 14th of July. Does that work? Any time? Sean, do you want the same time, 11 o'clock for an hour?
That's perfect.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
Does that work?
And you're all invited.
Does that work?
When is it?
July 14th at 11? Yeah. Okay.
I figured it out. I don't know my calendar.
Yeah.
I know for some of you, this is the busy season.
You gonna go with these guys right now,
I can.
please?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Take it. I got my copy that I wrote on.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Sometimes what's hard is success comes off the back of many failures. And I think the frustration that you heard a little bit is from those many failures. So hopefully this is the success.
I think we are in a recess.
Lifting the floor.
We are recessed for lunch until 1:30.
Chris Davis, we have the next thing.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll be downstairs.
Easiest, cheapest way.
Hey, will you come see me when you're done with Anna downstairs in the basement? Thank you. Excuse me?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.